Ladies and gentlemen, students and scholars, teachers and trainers, professors and professionals, listeners and learners, those who are watching, listening from the field of science, engineering, arts, commerce and spirituality, the most honorable President Mr. Narendra Modi ji, respected doctors and ministers, honorable advocates, advertisers, administrators and advisors, reverend fathers and mothers, affectionate sons and daughters. I, Dr. Rakesh from USA, heartily, cordially appreciate, admire your presence today. It is really praiseworthy. Dear friends, our today's topic that we will discuss very important for the recreation, regeneration and reoperation of our nation. Subconscious mind and habits, forming positive habits and character. Sometimes we become helpless, we become needy, downtrodden, dejected and rejected. And we feel frustrated, depressed. That condition, if we have the words, thoughts, ideas full of positivities, then we are recharged, we are reconstructed, recreated, and we become repositioned. Dear friends, it's the subject of psycho. How is our psycho? It depends upon the thought level. We are all born to lead successful lives, but our conditioning leads to us. But our conditionings leads us to failure. We are born to win, but are conditioned to lose. We often hear statements like, this person is just lucky. He touches dirt and it turns to gold. Or he is unlucky no matter what he touches. It turns to dirt. This is not true. If you analyze, the successful person is doing something right in each transaction. And the failure is repeating the same mistake in each transaction. What is said about the it is generally accepted, everyone. Error is to man, forgive is to God. Remember, practice does only perfect practice makes perfect. What is the role of perfection in our life? Dear friends, 100% devotion and dedication if we have towards our duty, there is no chance, no question of being failure. If we have 1% negativity, 1% weaknesses, shortcomings, drawbacks that may become the cause of failure. But if you are positive, then that 1% negativity also can motivate you to do something better, nicer, finer and greater. Dear friends, practice makes permanent. Whatever you do repeatedly. Some people keep practicing their mistakes and they become perfect in them. So their mistakes become perfect and automatic. Professionals make things look easy because they have mastered and fundamentals of whatever they do. Many people do good work with promotions in mind, but the one to whom good work becomes a habit is deserving. Cultivating a habit is like plowing the field. It takes time. It has to grow from within. Habits generate other habits. Inspiration is what gets a person started. Motivation is what keeps him on track. And habit is what makes it automatic. But the whole journey of success, the whole journey, the fortune start from our idea. The ability to show courage in the face of adversity, show self-restraint in the face of temptation, choose happiness in the face of hurt, show character in the face of despair, see opportunity in the face of obstacles. These traits are not coincidences. They are the result of constant and consistent training. If you will train your mind how to think, what to think, where to think, when to think, then certainly you will be able to handle the whole problems with your minds, both mental and physical. In the face of adversity, our behavior can only be the one we have practiced, regardless of whether it is positive or negative. When we practice negative traits such as cowardice or dishonesty in small events, hoping to handle the major ones in a positive way, the later wouldn't happen because that is not what we have practiced. When we permit ourselves to tell a lie once, it is a lot easier to do it a second and a third time until it becomes a habit. Successful lies in the philosophy of sustain and abstain. Sustain what needs to be done and abstain from what is detrimental until this becomes habitual. Human beings are more emotional than rational. Honesty and integrity are both the result of our belief system and practice. Anything we practice long enough becomes ingrained into our system and becomes a habit. A person who is honest and most of the time gets caught the first time he tells a lie. Whereas a person who is dishonest, most of the time gets caught the first time he tells the truth. Honesty and dishonesty to self and others both become habits. Our thinking pattern becomes habitual. We form habits and habits form character. Before you realize that you have got the habit has got you. We need to form the habit of thinking right. Someone once said, our thoughts lead to actions. Actions lead to habits. And habits form character. Character leads to destiny. So this is the way, this is the process of thinking. Station by station, step by step. How do we reach at the destination? That may become our destiny. Form good habits. Most of our behavior is habitual. It becomes automatically without thinking. Character is the sum total of our habits. If a person has positive habits, then he is considered a positive character. A person with negative habits is a negative character. Habits are a lot stronger than logic and reasoning. Habits start by doing. Habits start by being too weak to be quiet and end up becoming too strong to get out of. Habits can be developed by default or determination. I remember as a child my parents telling me, you should form good habits because form character. How do we form habits? Anything we do repeatedly becomes a habit. We learn by doing, by behaving courageously. We learn courage by practicing honesty and fairness. We learn these traits. By practicing these traits, we master them. Similarly, we practice negative traits such as dishonesty, unjust behavior, or lack of discipline. That is what we become good at. Attitudes are habits. They are behavior patterns. They become a state of mind and dictate our responses. Dear friends, conditioning. Most of our behavior comes as a result of conditioning. It is habitual. If we want to do anything well, it must become automatic. If we have to consciously think about doing the right thing, we will never be able to do it well. That means we must make it. We are all being conditioned continuously by the environment and the media. When we start behaving like robots, it is our responsibility to condition ourselves in a positive manner. When I was a student of martial arts, I observed that even the black belts were practicing block and punch. The basics, because if they needed to use these skills, they had to come automatically. Good habits are hard to come. Good habits are hard to come by, but easy to live with. Bad habits come easy, but are hard to live with. How do we get conditioned? Think of the mighty elephant who can lift in excess of a ton of weight with just its trunk. How do they condition the elephant to stay in one place with a weak rope and a stake? The elephant, when it is a baby, is tied to a strong chain and a strong tree. The baby is weak, but the chain and the tree are strong. The baby is not used to being tied, so it keeps tugging and pulling the chain. All in vain. A day comes when it realizes that all the tugging and pulling will not help. It stops and stands still. Now it is conditioned. And when the baby elephant becomes the mighty giant elephant, he is tied with a weak rope and a small stake. The elephant could, with one tug, walk away free, but it goes nowhere because it has been conditioned. Human beings are constantly being conditioned, consciously or unconsciously, by exposure to the kind of books we read, the kind of movies and TV programs we watch, the kind of music we listen to, the kind of company we keep. While driving to work, if we listen to the same music every day for several days, and if the tape deck breaks down, guess what tune we will be humming? Instantly is defined as doing the same thing over and over and expecting different results. If you keep doing what you have been doing, you will keep getting what you have gotten. The most difficult thing about changing a habit is unlearning what is not working and learning positive habits. Dear friends, presence of Lord or God makes us the most positive and makes us powerful to think. These things may train your mind to be positive thinker. The Giga Principle, the computer phrase, Giga, garbage in, garbage out, is very sound. Negativity in, negativity out. Positivity in, positivity out. Good in, good out. Do good, have good. Good mind, good find. It is said, note in judicially, it is said judicially, our input equals our output. our subconscious mind does not discriminate. Students of science, simply read this thing that energy neither can be created nor can be destroyed. Likely that our input equals our outputs. Our subconscious mind does not discriminate. Whatever we choose to put into our subconscious mind, it will accept, and our behavior will reflect that accordingly. The television has a considerable impact on influencing our morals, thinking, and culture. For good or bad, TV, while bringing in lots of useful information, has also made an outstanding contribution to degrading our tastes, corrupting our morals, and increasing juvenile delinquency. That is pretty high price for so-called free speech or free television. The number of violent acts seen on TV by the age of 18 tops 200,000. Dear friends, a revolutionary and visionary change you can bring just by changing your thoughts. Thought is the first step of the actions, of the habits, of the destiny about which Swami Vivekananda predicted, appealed, advocated to the worldly people. Dear friends, one idea, one nation, one man can bring change. Advertisers are good at conditioning their audience. Obviously, advertisements sell products, otherwise they would companies advertise. When we watch TV or listen to a radio advertisement, our conscious mind is not listening, but our subconscious is open and we receive whatever is being dumped in. Have you ever argued with the TV? Of course not. When we go to the movies, we laugh and we cry. Is it because they put something in the seats, or because input has an immediate emotional output? Change the input and the output changes. The conscious and subconscious mind. Remember, our conscious mind has the ability to think. It can accept or reject, but the subconscious, it makes no distinction regarding input. If we feed our mind with thoughts of fear, doubt and hate, the auto-suggestions will activate and translate those things into reality. The subconscious is the data bank. Of the two, the subconscious is more powerful. The subconscious is like the automobile, while the conscious is like the driver. The power is in automobile, but the control is with the driver. The subconscious mind can work for or against us. It is not rational. When we are not successful, we need to reprogram the subconscious. The subconscious mind is like a garden. It doesn't care what you plant. It is neutral. It has no preferences. But if you plant good seeds, you will have a good garden. Otherwise, you will have a wild growth of weeds. I would go a step further to say, even when you plant good seeds, weeds still grow and the weeding process must continue constantly. The human mind is no different. Remember, positive and negative thoughts can't occupy the mind simultaneously. Companies spend close to $1 million for a 30-second ad during a major event. Obviously, they are getting results. We see an ad for a particular brand of soft drink or toothpaste and we go to the supermarket and buy that brand. We don't want any soft drink but only that brand. Why? Because we are programmed and act accordingly. In order to succeed, we need to get programmed in a positive way. How do we get programmed? Think how we learn to read. Think how we learned to ride a bike. There are 4 stages. The first stage is called unconscious incompetence. This is a stage where we don't know that, we don't know. The child doesn't know what it is to ride a bike, nor can he ride a bike. This is a stage of unconscious incompetence. The stage of unconscious incompetence. The second stage is called consciously incompetent. This is the stage where the child grows and becomes conscious of what it is to ride a bike but cannot ride one himself. So, he is consciously incompetent. But then he starts learning, and now comes a third stage which is called consciously competent. Now he can ride a bike but has to think every time to do it. So with all the conscious thought and effort, the child is competent to ride a bike. The fourth stage is called unconsciously competent. It comes when the child has practiced consciously riding the bike so much that he doesn't have to think, it becomes an automatic process. He can talk to people and wave to others while riding. That means he has reached the stage of unconscious competence. At this level, we don't need the concentration and thinking. Because the behavior pattern has become automatic. We want all our positive habits to teach, all our positive habits to reach. Unfortunately, we have some negative habits too, which are at the unconscious competence stage and are detrimental to our progress. Studies have shown that 90% of all smokers became smokers by the age of 21. If a person has not become a smoker by the age of 21, then there is a very small chance that that person will ever become a smoker. This only proves that smoking is conditioned subconsciously and our conditioning starts at a young age. Nature abhors a vacuum. Nature nurtures us like a mother. Nature treats us like a doctor. Nature plays multi-dimensional, multi-sided and multifaceted roles in our lifestyle. Dear friends, I have 2 nephews aged 12 and 14 who are tennis Bubs. One day their father said to me, "This game is getting very expensive. The boys go through the rockets, balls, lawn fees, and now they have a coach. It all cost money." So I asked him, "It is getting expensive compared what?" "It is getting expensive compared with what?" He could have them stop playing tennis and save some money. But if they stopped and came home from school with all their time and energy at hand, what would they do? He stopped to think quietly for some time and then said, "I think I will have them continue. It is cheaper this way." He realized the importance of keeping them involved in positive activities. Otherwise, they would be attracted to the negative because nature abhors a vacuum. Either we have a positive or we have a negative. There is no neutral ground here. Character building becomes a habit. If we want to build a pleasing personality, we have to examine our habits closely. What begins as an occasional indulgence turns into a permanent flow. Ask yourself the following questions. One is, do you let the quality of your work deteriorate? Number two is, do you indulge in gossip? Number three is, are envy and ego a constant companion? Number four is empathy in short supply? We could go on and on. We are creatures of habit. It is good that it is that way. It is good that it is that way because if we have to constantly think before doing anything, we would never get anything done. There is just not enough time. We control our habits by exercising control and self-discipline over our thoughts. Our need to harness the power of the subconscious mind. We need to cultivate the habits during childhood, which build character in adulthood. Plant the right things early in life, but it is never too late to start. Every exposure to a positive or negative makes a difference. Learning new habits takes time, but positive habits, once mastered, give new meaning to life. Optimism or pessimism is a habit. Students of different universities, scholars and learners, those who are studying in Harvard, Cambridge, Oxford, I would like to make them think about the optimistic and pessimistic strain. If they are optimistic and having hope against hope, and definitely they are the great fighters and warriors. It is the true research on your soul. This soul power makes you able to be successful in all the fields. Habits are a matter of the pain and pleasure principle. We do things either to avoid pain or to gain pleasure. So long as the gain is more than the pain, we continue with the habit. But if the pain exceeds the gain, we drop it. For example, when the doctor tells the smoker to stop, he replies, I can't. It is a habit and I enjoy it. And he goes on smoking. Here the pleasure is greater than the pain. Until one day he is faced with a major medical problem. And the doctor says, you better stop smoking immediately if you want to live. And he stops. Here the pain is greater than the pleasure. Resistance to change. When people recognize or become aware of their negative habits, why don't they change? The reason they don't change is because they refuse to accept responsibility. Besides, the pleasure of continuing is greater than the path. They may lack the desire to change. They may lack the discipline to change. They may lack the belief that they can change. They may lack the awareness of the need to change. All these factors prevent us from getting rid of our negative habits. We all have a choice. We can ignore negative behavior and hope it will go away. The ostrich approach or face up to it and overcome it for life. Behavior modification comes from overcoming irrational fears and getting out of the comfort zone. Remember, fear is a learned behavior and can be unlearned. The following excuses are the most common explanations for not changing negative habits. Dear friends, one is, we have always done it that way. Two is, we have never done it that way. Three is, that is not my job. Four is, I don't think it will make any difference. Five is, I am too busy. These are the negative habits. These are the negativities that can be changed by resistance to change. Forming positive habits. It is never too late to change. Regardless of our age or how old, regardless of our age or how old the habit has been, this can be done by awareness and using techniques that modify behavior. We hear all the time that you can't teach an old dog new tricks. We are human beings, not dogs. Neither are we performing tricks. We can unlearn self-destructive behavior and learn positive behavior. The secret of successful people is that they form the habit of doing things that failures don't like to do and we want to do and we wouldn't do. Just think about the things that failures don't like to do. They are the same things that successful people don't like to do, but they do they anywhere. Them anywhere. For example, failures don't like discipline, hard work, or keeping commitments. Successful people also dislike discipline. Hard work means an athlete doesn't like and want the discipline to get up and train every day, but he does it regardless. But they do it anyway because they have formed the habit of doing things that failures don't like to do. All habits start small but end up eventually being very difficult to break. Attitudes are habits and can be changed. It is a question of breaking and replacing old negative habits with one and positive ones. It is easier to prevent bad habits than to overcome them. Good habits come from overcoming temptation. Happiness and unhappiness are a habit. Excellence is the result of repeated conscious efforts until it becomes a habit. It needs enough practice to become a habit. We all have some negative habits that are pulling us down. We all have some positive habits that we have to record in our mind. 21 formula to form positive habits. Auto-suggestion. What is auto-suggestion? Dear friends, an auto-suggestion is a statement made in the present tense of the kind of person you want to be. Auto-suggestion are like writing a commercial to yourself about yourself, for yourself. They influence both your conscious and subconscious mind, which in turn influence attitude and behavior. Auto-suggestions are a way to program your subconscious mind. They can be either positive or negative. Examples of negative auto-suggestions are: I am tired, I am not an athlete, I have a poor memory, I am not good at math. When we repeat to our suggestion, our subconscious mind believes it and it becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy and starts reflecting in our behavior. For example, when I am talking to someone and I forget what I had to say, I tell the other person, see, I forgot what I wanted to say. People who come into contact with crime the first time hate it. With constant exposure they get used to it, and if the exposure is long enough they may embrace it and they become creators of their own misfortune. When a person repeats a belief long enough, it sinks not the subconscious and becomes reality. A lie repeated long enough becomes accepted as a truth. Positive auto-suggestions are being widely used in the field of sports and medicine. Why make positive statements? Because we want to create a picture in our minds of what we want to have rather than what we don't. Any picture that we hold in our mind becomes reality. Auto-suggestions are a process of repetition. A person who repeats a statement long enough lets it sink into the subconscious mind. For example, I am relaxed, I am cool, calm and collected. Auto-suggestions should not be practiced in a negative way. I am not tense, I won't be angry. I am not tense, I am not be angry. Positive statements are made because we think in pictures. And if I say, don't think of the blue elephant, what is the first picture that comes to your mind? The blue elephant. If I say, mother, what comes to your mind? A picture of your mother. Did you start spelling M-O-E-H-E-R? Of course not. When a negative word comes in the auto-suggestion, it forms a negative picture which we want to avoid. Why in the present tense? Because our mind cannot tell the difference between a real experience and an imagined one. For example, parents are expecting their child to come home at 9:30 p.m. but the kid is not home and it is now 1 a.m. What is going through the parents' mind? They are probably hoping everything is okay. I hope the kid didn't get into an accident. What is happening to their blood pressure? It is going up. This is an imagined experience. The reality could be that the kid is having fun at a party, is irresponsible and did not get home when he was supposed to. Now, reverse the scenario. Supposing the kid was very responsible and was actually coming home at 9:30 p.m. but got into an accident and still didn't get home at 1 a.m. What is happening to the parents' blood pressure? It is still going up. The first scenario was an imagined experience. The second one was a real experience. Body's response in both cases was identical. Our mind cannot tell the difference between a real and an imagined experience. Dear friends, continue listening. Prepare the subconscious mind. How can we use auto-suggestions to eliminate negative habits and develop positive ones? We have all used auto-suggestions unconsciously. For example, you have to catch an early morning flight. You automatically tell yourself that you have got to get up. And invariably, you do. Sometimes even without an alarm clock, a prepared subconscious mind has hunches and gut feelings. Auto-suggestion is a way to program and condition our mind to make a statement into a self-fulfilling prophecy. Auto-suggestion is a repetitive process through which we feed our subconscious with positive statements, which translate into reality. A repetition alone is not enough unless it is accompanied by emotions and feelings. Auto-suggestions without visualization will not produce results. The first time our mind receives an auto-suggestion, it rejects it. Why? It is an alien thought. Contrary to our belief system, success would depend on our ability to concentrate and repeat the process. Steps to follow on auto-suggestions. One is go to a spot where you won't be disturbed. Two is write down your suggestions. The self-discipline to finish what one starts is imperative. Auto-suggestion is a powerful character-building tool. Translating auto-suggestion into one is make a list of your auto-suggestions in the present tense. Two is Repeat auto suggestions at least twice a day, first thing in the morning and at the end of the day. This is because in the morning the mind is fresh and repetitive, and at night you deposit the positive picture into your subconscious overnight. Repeat it consecutively for 21 days until it becomes a habit. For is auto suggestions alone will not work. They need visualization. Dear friends, what is visualization? Visualization is the process of creating and seeing a mental picture of the kind of thing you want to have or do, or the kind of person you want to be. Visualization goes hand in hand with auto-suggestion. Auto-suggestion without visualization is mechanical repetition and will be ineffective. In order to see results, auto-suggestion must be accompanied by feelings and emotions, means visualization. Caution: auto-suggestion may not be acceptable to the mind the first time you do it because it is an alien thought. For example, if for the past few decades I have believed that I have a poor memory and now all of a sudden I tell myself I have a good memory, my hand will throw it out saying, "You liar, you have a bad memory," because that is what it has believed up to this point. It will take 21 days to dispel this notion. Why 21 days? Because it takes minimum of 21 days of conscious consecutive practice to formulate a habit. The big question is 21 days of conscious effort a heavy price to pay a change, a lifetime for the better? If all sounds simple, but it is not easy. I am not surprised to see how few people go through this routine. These words and thoughts that you are listening, these will become a great cause of inspiration and motivation in our youngsters. Our youngsters will take the lesson and example from these words for the recreation, regeneration and reoperation of this nation. In this present time, our present Prime Minister has started numberless programs through PMKVY and MMKVY in the different states and all over the world. Those who are working in the different internationally, they are also being provided, broadcasted different type of online programs for improving the youngsters. How the youngsters can be improved their skills, manners, styles. This is really a great thing of training that should be provided to our youngsters, those who have passed out their different degrees and diplomas, but they don't have skill in their lifestyle, so they should be provided skills. Dear friends, it is not an impossible task, because you know that impossible itself says I am possible, but it needs a remarkable, oceanic, visionary change in our thought and mind. If our ideas will change as per the thoughts of Swami Vivekananda, who is the role model of our present Prime Minister Narendra Modi ji, then definitely we will bring a revolutionary change. Dear friends, it is rightly said that what is said about it? Winners don't do the different things, they do the things differently. Means it needs a great change in our attitude. What kind of attitude we have for the futuristic generation? We have present with us. If we keep our mind in present, then definitely it energizes our past and future. Because it was rightly said by First Prime Minister Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru in his autobiography, present lies in the past. Through the discovery of India, he presented all his views, how our Indian land is really the land of forefathers, foretellers, forecasters, free thinkers, freedom fighters, those who came first on this land just for providing the welfare activities to our society and nation. They did their work selflessly. They did their work without any personal interest. So, while going through the Gandhian philosophy, we understand that with the testament of the truth and non-violence, which was the basic principle and doctrine of Mahatma Gandhi, which is being implied by our Indians for the in the villages. Our villages are the soul of our nation. We should never forget. So for becoming the true nationalistic and patriotistic person, we are to do something better, finer, nicer, greater in our daily routine. Our today's 24 hours is the symbol of present. Our 24 hours of the past is the symbol of our history, recordings, downloadings, and savings. Dear friends, the best methodology for our learners and scholars is to be imaginative. Imagination is the best technology for the learners. Up to this time, we are using different social media sites, websites, YouTube, Instagram. We have become online. It is all the brainchild of our human mind. If the mind is so advanced and scientific, then how is the flight of this soul? You can imagine and you can judge, you can observe, examine, evaluate by the presence of Lord in every moment of your life. Dear friends, these things also are helping us turning towards the oneness, equality and unity of this nation. So we think and imagine the image of that Lord or God, who He is, who He was, who He will, in past, present and future. Who He is omniscient, omnipresent, omnipotent and almighty Lord. He never leaves us alone. He exists even in air, fire, soil, sky, water. In these five elements, He does exist. Even where there is no existence of these five elements, He does also exist there. So we should never forget it. Swami Vivekananda, who addressed and appealed to the worldly people that our Indian culture has the existence of Lord even in lightless and soundless places. Dear friends, again, by the character he shows that our Indian culture is the best in all over the world. Thanks all of you. Thanks listeners and learners.